This is Peacemaker Rewind. Tonight we are talking about episode 6, Murn After Reading. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
And not to disappoint, another crazy episode. Peacemaker's just frantic in its pacing.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like we were hoping after the end of last episode, this one here picked up like right where it left off. There was not even like a second like difference in time. It was like just boom. That's where we were.
Yeah, thankfully, too, because I wanted to get right back to it, because it looked like Abadeo was in a bit of danger there.
It looked like it was over. It looked like
Yeah,
oh, she discovered it. That's the end of Abadeo.
I thought maybe we would be the next morning and the team would come in and like, "Oh, where's Abadeo?"
And
Nobody
he'd be like,
knows,
oh no,
but
Waller called her back, or something along
right.
those lines.
But luckily, no, we leave. We come back right in the same parking lot, right in the rain at night. And Murn immediately he's like, "I'm not going to hurt you," which is kind of throws Abadeo off. And she's pointing the gun at him, like the gun's knocked to the ground, and then Harcourt pulls in. And seemingly, Abadeo's like freaking out, trying to tell Harcourt about, Murn being a butterfly, and she already knows.
It's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She walks in, and now Abadeo's all freaking out. It's like, hold on, does the economist know? He's like, yeah, but he puts his fingers in his ears, and he doesn't want to talk about
Right.
it.
Yeah. He doesn't want to. Yeah. The less he knows, the less he can tell Waller. So they're upset that Waller doesn't know, apparently.
Do you remember how exactly Harcourt figured it out? Because she said she figured it out.
She figured it out because the way that he was able to survive that explosion at the Goff Mansion, like he was
That's
right
right.
up on that explosion when it went off, and it was basically the same line of thinking that that your wife had, that little theory she had that the butterfly entered him at that point. But
Well, it's
no,
just basically
apparently
the
he was.
butterfly saved him because of the
Yeah,
strength.
yeah, he was already a butterfly. And yeah, we learn, this is the episode where we learn a lot more about what's going on with these butterflies, as
Yeah,
far as a lot of backstory, which was
yeah.
good.
And they get in the office, and like Abadeo's actually like interrogating him. She's
Hmm.
like, she wants answers now. It's like she wants to know what's going on, why he's a butterfly, why she should trust him, and everything. And basically calling him a body snatcher, and he is guilty as well as anybody else was.
Yeah,
And we find out like the one that was they called the golf one
yeah,
is the queen. She's the one that's controlling everything.
right.
And he was the one that was basically the one that was speaking up. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah, well, he was a defector, right? Because essentially this alien race came down only because their planet was destroyed. They didn't intend to like take over or like take over and all these bodies, but the queen that ended up going into golf had all these ideas about like legit taking people over and like kind of ruling society, and like the one that ends up in Murn here was a defector, and he didn't know what else to do. He didn't want to even take over a body because he's against it.
Yeah.
So he ended up picking a person that was like a brutal killer. He was like, well, if I'm going to do it, then at least let me,
He wanted to find the worst person he can find
yeah.
if he was going to
And
take somebody over.
yeah, and took over Murn. So that's why this particular butterfly is on this mission to take down all the other butterflies.
That's crazy. One's going to try to take them all down. But yeah, here's a part of that conversation between Mern and Ab-
Abadeo.
here's a conversation here between Mern and Abadeo here.
Needed to stop them. So I inhabited the worst person I could find. This man, Leota, he's a murderer. But still I know his thoughts. Even he could have changed. I know that. I took that from him. I took his freedom and his face. And every day I dread waking up to his memories.
Dude, the compassion. That's what threw me.
Right.
There was so much compassion within that right there. Like, he knew he took a person that was terrible. But he was like, he sensed even that terrible person had the ability to change his course and become a better person.
And he took
just
that
knowing,
from him.
yeah, and he took it from
Yeah.
him, and he wakes up and he hears his dreams, and he sees his memories, and that he hates all of that.
Yeah.
Which is, they haven't addressed this. Is there a way for them to get out of the person that they're in? I mean, granted, I'm pretty sure the person would die.
I don't know. It's a good point, especially after the events later in this episode. It's definitely a pertinent question to ask. Yeah, I don't know. My assumption is no, but I guess maybe we'll find out.
Because they're kind of implanted into their brains.
Right.
So if they come out, all of a sudden there's going to be there's going to be some missing stuff up there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how that works. And the transition is so violent with the coughing up blood and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll probably get an answer to that eventually, because so far we've only seen these butterflies be released by bullets through the head.
Yeah, just basically blowing a hole, an exit.
Right.
There's an exit route.
Yep. There's no coming back from that. We join Peacemaker. It's during the day. He's at a school. He's at a classroom setting, and he's almost like a show and tell type thing. I guess the janitor that he was kind of buddy buddy with at the hospital,
Back in episode
called,
1, yeah.
yeah, called in a favor for his daughter to come in and talk to her class. And these kids they're funny. They're asking him about like supervillains and superheroes. One little girl was wearing a Flash T-shirt, and Peacemaker says the Flash was a D-bag, and it's just like he's not very good with these kids.
Oh no, I mean the language he's using, he's like, well, I abbreviated things.
Yeah. One kid asks about his origin story, and he starts having like flashbacks.
I thought that was gonna go bad. I was like, uh-oh.
I did too. He cuts it off, but we as a viewer see a little bit more, and we see his brother coughing up or spitting up blood, and his father turns around to him. This is new that we haven't seen this yet.
Yeah.
And says, "You killed him." So it's
Yeah.
almost like confirmation. This is what we assumed, but it's kind of confirmation.
It was a carryover from the scene that we seen.
Yeah.
It's like we seen his brother fall and like foaming at the mouth and kind of have almost like a seizure type thing.
Right.
But this was like a continuation where we seen his dad come in and say something, and then we actually seen Peacemaker standing, behind him.
I'm still not convinced. I still am, because we know what a manipulator his dad is and what a piece of garbage his dad is. I'm almost wondering if it was actually his dad's fault or whatever happened to his brother, and from whatever happened, he was able to blame or put the blame on little Chris at that point. That would make sense to me. And being a kid, you don't know any better. Immediately, you would kind of internalize that and blame yourself anyway. And if your own father leaned into that, I mean, Chris may be innocent in this whole thing and never even touched his brother, but we don't know. We don't know the full story just yet.
I'm fairly certain you're onto something there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it would be, because he was always trying to get get Chris to be like a villain like himself.
Right.
So if he went ahead and if that was the way to break him, if that was the way to turn him into, the type person that his dad wanted him to be,
yeah,
I wouldn't put it past his dad for that to be an action that they'll take.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be Peacemaker's biggest hurdle. This is definitely his Achilles heel right now. I mean, this is the moment that kind of defined the rest of his life. Him killing his brother, and he definitely carries all that weight. He avoids talking about his brother. He has pictures of him and his brother all over his trailer.
Yeah.
But when the subject comes up, he doesn't want to talk about it, and it definitely shaped the man who he is today. And I think if he is able to accept whatever happened, or maybe find out that he actually wasn't, I mean, either way, if he actually killed his brother or not, he was a child,
Yeah, exactly.
It was the fault of his own father. So if he's able to get past this hurdle of what happened in the past, then he'll be able to move forward and eventually be the kind of hero that I think he's yearned to be inside, but he's keeping himself from being.
Well, there's actually a part in the episode later where he was like talking to Harcourt. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself here.
Yeah.
But he was like, I don't want to kill anybody anymore.
Right. He just flat out says it.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, that's going from the character that would just eat a whole, bag full of dicks on a beach.
Right. I forgot about that line.
To where we are now on how he doesn't want to kill anybody anymore.
Yeah.
That is one crazy character arc that we're getting with him that I'd never seen coming.
I think the end of Suicide Squad, because he's replayed his moment with Rick Flag a couple times.
Yeah.
I think killing Rick Flag really kind of messed him up. So yeah, it's so cool. I just wouldn't think, I've never seen anything like this, to where we had a movie, just a 2-hour movie that you and I saw within the last year,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we're like, not that long later, it's only been a few months where they must have went in production into the show like right away,
Yeah.
and we're
It
already
must have been
seeing this.
planned no matter the success or failure of the movie, this was
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, kind of a cool thing. Honestly, DC hasn't done a ton of cool things, but this is a cool thing coming out of Suicide Squad right into this show. This has been a positive for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's see, White Dragon. He ends up getting freed through. It's kind of a back and forth where it's like, Detective Song. She knows that Chris is the one that's the culprit, and he needs to be the one in jail and not his father. So she's trying, but then the this new captain that Murn planted in there kind of blocks it. But now, because after she's seen the judge, her uncle Judge Judy, she gets enough to where White Dragon is freed, and he finally, leaves the building.
Yeah, then he gets in the van. He's like, what are we gonna do now? I want to go home. Let's just say have a little fun. And then I'm gonna go kill my son. I'm like, okay, and the dude's all about it. He's like, okay, and they take off from the truck.
Yeah, that's not good for Chris. Not
No,
good
it's
for
not either.
Peacemaker. No. And the cops are gearing up too. So it's like he's got people coming for him on all fronts. His own father and his gang, and the cops are coming after him too because now he's back to being the
Oh,
suspect in this
and
thing.
they're all like militarized. They're
Oh
coming.
yeah,
And basically the chief calls Murn, and then Murn starts trying to call Peacemaker, and Peacemaker just his phone,
well
you know.
Vigilante's there. He's having an argument with because Goff, the Goff butterfly that he's had captured in this jar this whole time, started like wrote a peace sign on the glass, and they were playing like 20 questions by knocking on the glass once
Yeah,
for yes,
yes or
twice for
no. And
no.
then Vigilante kept on wanting to ask like questions that had like multiple layers.
Vigilante's like so thick, man. He's so dumb.
And it was just funny watching Peacemaker's like veins popping out of his forehead
Yeah.
on how mad he was because how stupid Vigilante was being.
Eventually, they get the team back at HQ get the bright idea of calling Vigilante, which I'm a Barbie girl ringtone. He answers it,
But
and
then he's like, that's not me. I don't know who this person is. And
like,
then
come on,
Peacemaker just
Vigilante.
takes the phone. What's up?
Yeah, this is where he finally finds out. Like, by this point, the cops are like just moments away of beating the door down.
Yeah.
Chris and Vigilante don't have much time at all, but they make use of the time that they have. He opens up his skylight, and he like sends Eagly out first, and him and Vigilante climb up there, and it's kind of tense. Like Vigilante goes up, you see his foot disappear right as the cops break through the door.
Yeah. And then they're able to close the skylight without making any noise.
Yeah.
And just kind of like stay up there. And, the Eagly flies away, but that's after they're already up in the trees.
Right. And Detective Song, she's in there. She, I guess, assumes that Chris has maybe already fled or got the jump on him. But as she's out there, she sees Eagly on the roof, and she sees these trees surrounding Chris's trailer, scurrying and leaves moving, and she even hears Peacemaker whistle for Eagly. So at this point, she's suspicious. She calls the cops out to search. She's in the back of the trailer. She's searching, and Vigilante falls out of the tree.
Falls out of the tree
and
onto Golf that is like duct taped on him.
Right. The jar cracks, Golf escapes, and goes right for Detective Song.
And this is where my wife, when she went, oh, I loved her character.
Yeah, oh, that's funny. That's funny that she would. Yeah. Kind of a by the books detective.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you know her, it kind of makes sense.
I was the same way though, because I was like, that character's gone. Because like Detective Song is no longer Detective Song. Like it's Goff in a Detective Song suit.
Okay, but from that point, the police are in the house. This is where I kind of was like, oh, this sucks. They busted the picture of him and his brother.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of flipped it, and they're cutting through pillows, and they're flipping the place upside down.
I mean, this place was already kind of trash, but they're trashing it extra.
Yeah. And then they find the diary, and they bring it out. Well, they don't bring it out immediately. The cop starts reading it, and he's like, this is messed up. And he's just kind of going through it.
Looks like a conspiracy theorist's cookbook in there.
Yeah, right.
Wacko.
So then he comes out and gives it to the new chief, and the chief puts it in his, jacket. He's like, I'll take this. And at that point, we're like, oh, okay, maybe he dodged this bullet.
Yeah, crisis averted. But it didn't last that way.
No, it didn't last very long.
So much back and forth in this episode.
Well, now that Vigilante fell out of the tree, they're running through the woods. They're just trying to get away now.
Yeah.
And the chief had a car waiting for him. And he kills 3 of these cops. Because there was a couple times where Vigilante wanted to. But Peacemaker's like, no, they're cops. No. He's like, he's respecting the fact that they're cops.
Right.
Like, he was like, I'm only going to kill people that deserve to die. It's like, these people don't deserve to die.
Yeah. He was drawing that line.
Yeah. And now he's torn with this guy that he's seen just off 3 cops in front of him. But yet, he was the reason they got away.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's like, what's going on? Who is this guy? What is happening here?
Yeah, so Peacemaker and Vigilante, they get in this, they actually escape. They get in this car provided by this, police chief, this new police chief that's working for Murn. He's just killed some cops indiscriminately. Goff, Detective Song / Goff. I mean, Goff walks up and her partner, they walk up and they see that, these cops are dead on the ground, and this chief plays it off as though, somebody else did it. They assume Peacemaker, and he starts giving them the description of the Hamburglar. And the partner was like, either that guy's really stupid or he was playing us. And of course, now that Goff is actually Song, and Song isn't Song anymore, you asked last episode, like, what happens with these people? Did they actually die? And we see the transition, like just coughing up blood. Like,
it was pretty rough.
I assume that Detective Song is dead, and it's just Goff from here on out, which does suck, because that's like that was kind of a main character.
Yeah, that was a big character from the get-go. So
yeah,
I mean, we'll see how it moves forward. But man, does she ever turn into some type of badass that we didn't?
Yeah, well, she's acting weird, and the partner recognizes that, and she calls him human at one point. But they leave. I mean, everybody leaves the trailer.
I thought it was funny about how they had to learn how to smile differently with each person.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, there's a callback to that later in the episode too. That was funny. Back at HQ, Economist, he thinks he knows where this butterfly honey food is coming from. He was able to track down a truck all the way back to some kind of ranch or a barn.
Yeah.
And they say, well, it doesn't look big enough to actually supply or create all this amount. But like before, they kind of pointed out that, most of these operations could be underground, because that's
he said something about butterflies like burrowing underground or something down those lines.
Yeah, which Chris is there, Peacemaker's there. He gets suspicious about how much information they know, and yet how much information they're still holding from him. And he starts kind of getting on them, like, what is going on here? He can sense that
he's the only one not in the loop.
Exactly. That he's still, to this point, even though they're part of this team, 11th Street Kids, right? He wants to be part of this group. They're still keeping him at arm's length. They still know stuff that he doesn't. And of course, what he doesn't know is that Murn is one of these butterflies. And even Abadeo, she's got to she's holding herself from spilling that information.
Well, then they go ahead and he lets them know that they had golf.
Right.
And then they done lost golf. And, now golf is a bigger problem. Oh man, was he ever
super upset?
Holy crap, he was mad. And they never told Peacemaker, did they? The Peacemaker is still not in the know about Murn, right?
No, he's still, even to this point at the end of the episode, he doesn't know about that. Yeah, so they're at HQ. Meanwhile, Golf, walking around as Detective Song, she goes back to police headquarters, starts hacking into one of their computers, and she's got like the alien language coming up on the screen. What she's doing actually is like calling in backup. She's calling in like more aliens to come down. Because later that night, she goes into the middle of this field, and the same little metal, weird spaceship looking thing that Peacemaker found like the second episode that he was messing with. All these things start coming down, landing in this field, and they turn out to be spaceships for these little bug creatures.
You're thinking, oh man,
oh dude, and there's like 100 of these things that land.
There's a lot of these things.
Yeah,
and man, just check this out, man. This gave me the heebie-jeebies.
That was intense. With the
dude.
music playing and everything.
I can't get over the thing falling out of their mouth.
Oh, yeah, that proboscis is
Oh,
disgusting.
dude, I just can't. It just kind of weirds me out. But man, it hit the fan now
Oh,
because
yeah, because I didn't know what was gonna happen now, but she goes back to police headquarters, and those bugs run rampant. I mean, all the cops are now butterflies. All the inmates that were there locked up are now butterflies. She's got herself a nice little army of butterflies now.
yeah, not just an army, but like law enforcement.
Oh, right, yeah.
Even the bogus police chief is now one of them.
Yeah, so Chris is in trouble because not only do we have these butterflies, I mean, Goff, when he was in, I call him Goff, but that's not his real name, but the butterfly that was in Senator Goff wasn't treating Chris and Vigilante very well. Remember, he was cutting off Vigilante's toe, right?
Yeah.
Um, so even though they were playing 2020, like 20 questions in the trailer, like he's not buddy buddy with Chris. So that's bad. And we've got Chris's dad suiting up as White Dragon finally. He's
Oh
back in his
yeah.
place. So he's serious and he's back in his supervillain outfit and he's after his own son too. So
Well, then
things are
there's
not
like a
looking
whole
good.
manhunt put out at the very
Yeah.
end of
Yeah.
coming after not Vigilante, but after Peacemaker. So it's like, holy crap, how is this all going to end? And it not end badly for Peacemaker.
Yeah, for our team, the 11th Street kids here, Amadeo heads back home. She actually has that one-on-one talk with her wife. She's like, "Hey, screw it. You don't owe these people anything. Let's go back to Gotham." Which I thought was you and I both noticed that, like, oh, Gotham, hey, Gotham drop.
Yeah, I stopped and rewound. I was like, did she say what I thought she said? And it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But
I
man,
I think Amadeo's at least considering it. Like, she's just so desperate because she feels bad about dropping that diary off
mhm.
at Chris's place. And she just feels super guilty, but she also feels guilty about keeping things from her own mother too. I mean, like she
She's in a
just
bad
doesn't.
spot. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's really in a spot where I don't think she ever believed that she would actually become friends with
right.
Peacemaker. Like when
Yeah,
she first took the job, it's like, okay, I can do this. He's a piece of crap. This should be easy, in and out.
right.
We're done. But actually seeing him as a person, it's playing on her empathy. And we even
Yeah,
got that at the very beginning. Remember, her mom Waller said, empathy will get you killed in this line of work.
right.
So she's got to be careful and get out, or she may not make it through the whole show.
Yeah, that's basically where we leave Abadeo right now. She's kind of at a moral crossroads here. Back at the team's headquarters, Peacemaker's there. He's talking to Harcourt, and Harcourt's starting to ease up on him a little bit. She says, "Hey, I thought you were complete shit originally. Now you're only 85%. I think the
Yeah.
rest of you is okay."
But
Um,
what she was doing when she first came in, she was putting the Dove of Peace on one of the
yeah,
guns,
that was
which
a
I
nice
thought
gesture.
that was huge.
That's a
That well,
big
didn't look
thing.
not like a dick, because like it's upside down.
Right, yeah. Yeah. It's classic. Yeah, he would do that. But she's warmed up enough. Actually tells him her first name, Amelia, and she leaves. He
Well, that's
sits
where he
down.
also like he opens up to her, and he's
Yeah,
like, I don't want
I
to
don't want to
kill
kill.
anymore.
Right.
And she says something like to the extent of like, this isn't the time to go ahead and have that discussion.
Yeah.
So,
Luckily, he has no problem dropping these butterflies.
yeah, exactly.
He'll do that all day long. He sits down. He plays the piano. Who knew that? It looked like John Cena was actually playing the piano
I
too.
know. I was watching. I was like, is he playing,
And there
or are
was a
they
lot of
cutting back
shots
and
with him playing his hands. It was definitely him, and it seemed to match the notes. Like, if it wasn't him playing, then they did a really good job making it look like he was.
yeah. And I'm curious if we can find that online. Like, did John Cena actually play? Does John Cena play the piano? That's the only start you got to make.
Yeah, who
Because if
knows?
it says yes, I mean, there's that was him.
The multi-talented John Cena. Oh,
Yeah.
he's playing a song I recognize too. Is Motley Crue's "Home Sweet Home"? The
Yeah.
piano intro to that. It was good, and they actually spent a lot of time with him. He plays almost the whole song. But then once the song ends, Vigilante comes in. He's like, "Dude, I thought you didn't write a diary." And he's like, "What?" And they see the police are holding a press conference now. The police that are now all butterflies
Yeah.
are holding a press conference, blaming Peacemaker for the murders of the senator and this killing spree of cops, and there's a manhunt to get him.
Yeah, and then it's gone all downhill. So
Yeah.
how do we get around this now?
And that's how this episode ends. So another cliffhanger. How are we going to pick up here in episode 7? We'll see.
I can see there being a gap of time between this one and the next one.
Right? Yeah.
Because it's not specifically, there's not like a moment like the end of last episode in this one where it had to pick up there.
Yeah.
This one here, they could be them, changing headquarters, changing areas, going to find the barn where the cow is to go ahead and stop the production of whatever this nectar is.
Yeah.
Because if they stop the nectar, they stop the bugs, the butterflies.
And who knows? Maybe we may pick up the next episode with Peacemaker on the run. Maybe he's been on the run for a week or so. We don't know. So join us next time, episode 7. We'll figure it out then. Chris and I will be watching Peacemaker Rewind. We drop 2 episodes a week, and next week we'll be doing episode 7, episode 8. That'll be it, right?
7 and 8. Yep. We'll be finishing up this series next week. Our rewind will be complete.
Yeah, so check out our YouTube page, Dad and Rock. You can go to dadandrock.com. Check out the other stuff we've done too. If you're fans of Ted Lasso or any of the Disney Plus content, Star Wars, we do all of that stuff. So
there's also a thing called Invasion. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah, check it out. But until we see you next time, make sure you share a feeling.